Hey game designers, and welcome to part 10 of the Homer illustration tutorial. Um, when we last left off, we were doing some shading to add depth and form to our illustration. So you can see here that we finished the arm and the sleeve, and we did these separately with different effects. So let's go ahead and just show you guys how we can apply it for the rest of the body here. So the next layer is my shirt layer, and my shirt layer is pretty similar to the sleeve. You want to cast a shadow onto the waist. You want to give it some form around the edges. So what we're going to do is we're just going to basically drag and click the effects from here, from our right sleeve, right? And just drag and drop it to our shirt. So here, you can drag it here, but if you hold Alt, you can actually duplicate it. So if you hold Alt, let go, you can see that we duplicated the effect here. So now if you look closely at Homer, you can see that now we have shadows being casted onto his belly um, and around the edges slightly. Okay. Now again, you could individually go in here and change the effects. So let's say if we didn't like any of our effects, we can double click, go to the inner shadows and go, maybe the inner shadow isn't dark enough. You could increase it like this and like this. So that's the opacity. So let's see if we can maybe make it a little bit more vivid here. It almost looks like the inner shadow isn't working. You can sort of see it, but maybe we want to do a little bit more distance, right? Maybe not. Maybe we'll keep the distance low, but we increase the size, right? So you can see here now there's shadows kind of everywhere on the side, and we can always lighten up the shadow. So I'm gonna go like 20 pixels here, give it a little bit of form on the sides, but maybe lower down the opacity just a little bit, give it a little form. We got a spread going on. Okay. Um, for example, we might even change the angle. You see how here it kind of affects the underneath the shirt. So maybe if we go something like this. Oh, no, not the inner shadow. Sorry. We'll leave this the same. Let's go to drop shadow. So the drop shadow looks like it's kind of shading underneath as if it's shading on nothing. So maybe I'll decide to move it this way a little bit. Okay, increase the distance a little bit. Okay, maybe this, I'll increase the size. Again, this is kind of up to you, what you want to do in terms of giving it that drop shadow so that it goes onto the pants. I think that's good. All right, so the next component is the, um, I'm gonna close the shirt here. Okay, you can see that this effect is being applied to everything. Um, so let's go on to the right leg. See, the right leg is pretty similar to the arm, I would think. So let's go ahead and take, again, the effect from the arm, just give it an inner shadow, hold Alt, drag the effect, and drag it onto the right leg. If you hold Alt again, it will um, duplicate it. So now we get some form around the legs. But remember that the shadow and spread might, have this little extra line here. So we're going to go ahead and double tap on the effects, go to our inner shadow. Maybe we'll decrease the spread so that it doesn't spread over there, but we'll keep it over here a little bit, right? You could decrease the distance and decrease the spread just to get rid of the lines that you don't need. Okay, I can't decrease the spread that much. So let's just decrease the size a little bit. Let's go down to 5 pixels or something. And again, you still see the edges around the side here. Um, let's see, maybe we'll increase the spread back a little bit. And the distance. And again, this is up to you guys to try to figure out what the right numbers are for you guys. So I want to give it just a little bit of spread here. So I think 5 pixels is good. Okay, give it a little shadow right here. Give it a little bit right here. Maybe I'll increase the spread a little bit more. Okay, maybe I need to increase the distance a little bit more. Or the size a little bit more. Yeah, I'm gonna to increase the size, increase the spread a little bit, give it a little bit more, but increase the distance, and there you go. Get some form around the legs, shoes. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and hit OK. So what I applied to the right leg looks like it would work on the lower torso. So let's go ahead and hold Alt, drag it to the lower torso. So now we get a little bit here. Now we again can use the seam overlap and cover up as much as we want or as less as we want, depending on what we want here. We might again lower down the distance a little bit. Again, this is up to you guys, what you guys want to do. I'm just going to show you what I'm going to do. I'm just going to decrease the distance, not too much here. Give it a little bit lighter, and maybe make it a little bit lighter here. And again, you guys might have chose to use your folders differently, but again, that's up to you guys to fix. Again, I'm now moving on to the left leg. I'm going to take the same effect I did on the right leg, just hold Alt, drag it to the left leg. So now the same effect and the same numbers on the left leg. Looks pretty good here. Maybe my seam overlap is a little bit too far. Let's give it a little bit over here. And you don't want to apply the shadow effect on the seam overlap. That will make it definitely look weird. So I'll definitely leave like that, something like that. Okay, and now let's go on to the left arm. The left arm is going to have similar effects to the right arm. So I'm just going to go to the right arm. I have two effects on the right arm, so I'm going to kind of apply it individually here. I have the left sleeve and the left arm. I'm going to go to the right sleeve, hold Alt, drag the effect, and hopefully go down to the left sleeve here. Okay. And let's go ahead and go to the right arm and drag that effect and drag it to the left arm with the skin color there. Okay, so I can see here I have shadows on the fingers, shadows on my sleeve. Again, you can customize, like sometimes you might want to see a shadow over nothing. That might not make sense to you. So you might want to go in there and change the drop shadow effect here. Maybe change the angle a little bit so that it goes onto the arm, but nothing on the like nothing in the just in the air. So maybe like 45 degrees. Give it a little bit on the sleeve. Okay, and let's see, we've got no shadows. Yep. Okay. All right, so that finishes the left arm. Again, you can organize and recollapse things to make things easier to see again. So you can kind of collapse or anything that you don't need to see. I'm just going to collapse everything right now, kind of get everything back to organize here. So we finished the left leg, we finished the left arm, just the head now. So the head, I'm going to assume that's pretty similar to the shadows that we did on the arms. So I'm just going to hold Alt, drag the inner shadows here, and drop it to the head. Actually, there's a possibility that we might want to use the same thing for the entire sleeve, because it needs probably a drop shadow as well, because it might cast a shadow over the neck or something. So we're going to apply this one right here. Nope, I think I applied it to the wrong one. Let me do that again. I'm going to drag this to the head. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and look at the head now. And you see there's a shadow right here. There's right here. There's a little bit of form to the side. Maybe a little bit too much inner shadow. So maybe I'll go on the inner shadow. Like I can see some darkness right here, maybe too much. Maybe just turn it down a little bit. Turn down the inner shadow. Just to give him some form around the edges. A little bit of shading. Again, you can kind of turn it up and see like what it does. It's kind of too much, obviously, if you go that far. So I'm going to go around 10. So you can see here that the amount of shadow that you want to cast on the inner side. I just want to give it a little bit here. Again, you can increase the spread. See what works for you. I'm going to give it, I don't know, 30% spread. Okay, and again, you can click at the size, right? I'm give Homer probably, since it's really light color, we can go about 25% or something, right? So it gives a little bit. Again, you can want to see what it looks like. This is what it's out, the inner shadow. You can see it with the inner shadows. It gives a little bit more form around the edges. And there we go. And I think we're done with the rest of the shadows here. We can collapse everything back. Gotta look at everything holistically here. It looks good. Okay. Now we have some form added to our Homer. And now we can move on to our next project. All right, I'll see you guys.